always said that when you have unconditional love and acceptance of self, and you don't need a partner to complete you, that's when you're ready. If you choose, like if you want that, but I also think for single people, and even in a relationship, you need to know what you want. You actually need to know what you will and won't tolerate.
This is episode 112. I am so happy that you're here, and thank you for joining my show, your coach, Helen Yuskovic. I am on a worldwide mission to help people get confident in putting themselves first, because I used to put myself second my whole life. And because of that, I experienced every unhealthy relationship possible. An unhealthy relationship with myself, my health, my wealth, my intimate relationships, my family, my friends, and my career. I'm now living in an abundance that I used to just dream about. So I want to pave the way for you too. It's time, guys. It's time that you live in the life of your dreams as well. So let's take a step towards that right now. Here's subscribe to my podcast on your app now so that you always tune in to my new episodes. Hi guys, for this episode today, we have decided to split it into 2 parts because the conversation was so epic and we just didn't stop talking. So today is part 1 of this beautiful conversation. All right, here we go. Welcome to the show, Luke and Carol. We just had the best fun ever moving from screen to screen because our recording wasn't working well.
I know.
God love podcasting. Thank you guys for being here today.
Absolute pleasure.
Thanks for having us, Helly.
You're so welcome. All right. So I've had you guys on the show before, and your podcasts have been so popular with my audience because just the way that you guys talk about relationships and the way that your relationship is really inspiring. And I think it's quite motivating for people to hear and to witness. And it's just such a joy watching you two. You're like 2 little lovebirds. You know, those little birds that they pair up and they don't separate. You're like that. That's what you remind me of. So Luke and Carol, there is some people that may not have heard of you. So could you give us a little brief history on who you are, what you're doing, and how did you get to this space that you're at?
All right.
Okay, well, I might as well start. So I'm Carol. I'm a coach. I'm a co-founder of Mindset Mastery NLP, coaching, training. We run certification courses. We love helping people. We just that is where we get our joy. We absolutely love helping people. But the thing is, before we started down that road of certified courses and really focusing on our coaching, we actually were really focused on helping people with relationships because that is something we are really passionate about. But in 2018, we ran a relationships day in Sydney. It was very successful, and that was where we wanted to continue. And then in 2019, we got a little bit sidetracked, and then we were taken in a different direction. We changed our business model, and I started doing, I did my trainer's training at the end of 2018, and then we started running our trained courses in NLP, hypnosis, timeline therapy. That was going really well. And then we thought, well, you know what, let's get back into the relationship space because we want to do that side by side. In 2020, we had this event planned, and then we were thrown into a pandemic and we could not run a face-to-face event. So right now, in this moment, we both feel that we've gone back to our roots, where we originally started, where we originally wanted to be. And we have both had the experience of the good, the bad, and the ugly in our relationships. You know, we are both in our 50s. We've had a lot of experience. We have both been married before. And we just feel that it's our job now to share the knowledge, to share what we've learned through, learning ourselves, but also through our own experience.
That's so beautiful. I remember signing up for my NLP Master Prac with you guys, and it was like the next week was lockdown. Do you remember that?
I remember delivering your books
Yeah.
very quickly. I did a sneaky trip down to your place and dropped all them. That was before Master Prac, actually.
Do you remember we were told we're going to have a 2-week lockdown? And I was like, great, this course is going to take 2 weeks. Perfect. 8 months to a year later.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Still locked.
And here's the thing, in regards to relationships, we had a lot of people reach out who were suffering because they weren't used to being together in the same house for that amount of time. So what we found is, people are struggling with their relationships because they really haven't been taught how to communicate effectively at all. So they might have issues at work, but then they might bring those work issues home. But then most of those people are then working from home, and the issues are still at home because they're not used to being together for that amount of time. So, it's interesting that you mentioned about the lockdown, but then the issues that really birthed from that, and hence why we're here right now, delivering, this amazing training for next year for Relationships Day, which we'll talk about later.
The divorce rate spiked so high during lockdown, and it is exactly what you mentioned. So I'm so excited to dive deep into this, because relationships, the quality of your relationship really determines the quality of your life. And if your relationship is beautiful, and if you guys complement each other, and if it's flourishing, then so does your life. And that's what you guys are masters at. So let's talk about relationships. So firstly, why do you two love being in a relationship? What is it giving you? Can you just share that with my audience? Because I'm single life over here, not settling for a partner and just waiting for my knight in shining armor to ride on in. Let us know about your experience.
Okay, so to love and to be loved, I think everybody wants to experience that, because it is so special, to love someone and to have that love come back to you. But having the love and the support of each other, it actually brings out the best in both of us. Our relationship gives us security, but it also gives us freedom. So security in knowing that we both have each other's back. I can turn to Luke at any time, and I know that he will never, ever judge me. He will sit with me. We can talk about things. So I know that, whatever I'm feeling, he will always support me, in the good, the bad, and the ugly. And, and then in regard to freedom, we actually support each other in the pursuit of our goals together. And we both have the freedom to pursue other visions, other goals as well. So, that for us is really, really important. I've always said that when you have unconditional love and acceptance of self, okay, and you don't need a partner to complete you, that's when you're ready. If you choose, if you want that, but I also think for single people, and even in a relationship, you need to know what you want. You actually need to know what you will and won't tolerate in a relationship as well. And, Luke and I have done things very differently this time around, compared to what we did in our past. And, we're going to talk about that a little bit later.
Yes.
Totally relate to what you're saying. What were you about to say, Luke?
Yeah, I was just feeling into, getting back to lockdown, for example. There was a lot of uncertainty with lockdown. So when we experience that uncertainty, and then there's uncertainty within your relationship as well, that's where I found a lot of relationships went south, because the person themselves lost that essence of certainty. And that's where there was scary ground for a lot of people, to step in allowing you to step into certainty in an uncertain world. And if your relationships at home was not certain as well, it was even scarier. I was, oh, what's going to happen? I might have to move out of this home because that was my security. And people got less security. It's like, it's even more overwhelming to think of what's going to happen if I've got to move out of this relationship. So that's why there's a spike in, domestic violence. Nothing funny about that kind of stuff. The part that I was laughing about was just like how many variations there are of scenarios that can happen for people. It's scary, but it's not, because if anyone's been through a breakdown in a relationship and even moved forward, it's like you think your world's just been like, the rug's been pulled from you, yeah? And you're thinking, what's going to happen? The part I'm laughing about as well is like, well, if I knew what was going to happen, from my first breakdown in a relationship back in, 2009, and look where I am now, if I knew what was going to be like, I would have just went, see ya, and out the door, yeah? But you think because you're in that relationship for such a long time, you don't think there's anything outside of that relationship. And I'll use words like, relating to like, the universe will guide you into where you're meant to be. It's that trust process. So it's kind of, I have a bit of a laugh about myself. It's like, wow, only if I knew before I moved to the Central Coast how much life was going to be different. I had no idea. I was smoking still. Like I was in that stress mode of certainty in an uncertain world. So we're all stepped in that path. Everyone's experienced that uncertainty. But I find that if we just take one little step back, or maybe even a second step back, you'll be able to then see how things could actually unfold into something quite beautiful if you start to work on self.
Totally. Such a great point that you bring up, Luke, because when you're in the thick of it, you don't see a way out. And you don't think that, hold on, I wonder if there's another love, because the last thing you're thinking about at that moment is another love, because you're like, I don't want this anymore, or, this is my world, and why is it crumbling down? And pulling yourself out that's just another mission and another journey in itself. And it all starts with a journey.
Absolutely.
Through thyself.
Totally agree. I never understood that at first when some of my, awake friends back then, they would say, yes, there's going to be a grieving process in that letting go of the old and then accepting the new. And you just got to allow that to actually unfold and grieve properly. You're grieving yourself within the relationship and also grieving the actual relationship itself between two people, because at some stage, there was some sort of love there, whatever you define as love.
Totally. Yeah, so it's a really valid point on relationships. If it's not serving you, then you really need to question what your values are in a relationship. But let's move down towards relationships that we want to thrive. So if you're in a relationship that you want to thrive, but also for us single folk, I'm here for you guys. Or for us single folk in today's day and age, and especially for those that are online dating, which absolutely sucks, because I went on the online dating bandwagon and it's just terrible for your mental health. It's so detrimental. I just stopped it completely. There's nothing better for me, in my opinion, than an organic meat. So I don't know if you guys have ever done online dating.
Once.
Once. Yep.
It was terrible.
The experience of it all is terrible. You're left waiting. People are talking to other people. People are constantly looking for someone that's better than the person that you're talking to. It's a big state of comparison. I found myself swiping right, just judging someone on that one photo that they put on their profile. And that was my basis of a relationship. So that's when I was like, no, this isn't right. This isn't healthy. That guy that I just swiped right on might be actually the one. He might have something in his personality that I love. So why is it that everyone's looking for the next best thing all the time? What's everyone searching for? And how, Carol, can those people in a relationship protect their own relationship from constant temptation that is just in the palm of our hand?
Yeah. And you know what, Hallie, they're great questions. And honestly, I can say I've never done online dating. I toyed with the idea, and I'll tell you the one thing that actually stopped me. And, it's good that I know my intuition. And I actually had a dream. Funny thing, I had a dream that I was in a dog cage with all these other women. Like there were rows and rows and rows of all of us women in a dog cage. And the men were walking past, stopping, having a look, going, I like that about her, and very derogatory. Oh, yeah, no, she'd be good for this. She'd be good. And I woke up and it was a wake up. It was literally a wake up call for me. Carol, don't even go there. Now, the other interesting part is that I talk about a list of the things that you want in a partner. I'm not going to go into that now, but the top of my list, it actually said the next man that I invite into my life will not be from a dating site.
Wow.
And here we are today. So the thing is, I think the very sad thing about society today, including relationships, is that everything is so freaking disposable. Everything is disposable. You throw it away and then you can find a replacement as quickly as you made that decision to throw it away. And, online dating is full of choices. And, the problem is when someone has too many choices, they're scattered. They can't make a decision because this one could be better, but then, but what about this one, this person or this person? And I think, this is not my area of expertise, but what I've seen is that, people in our age group or, 30 upwards, maybe, we're looking for our forever person. That's what we want. We want something secure. We want someone that we can confide in. We want someone that we can love, someone to, have babies with and all of that. But the younger people, and this may not be true for some, but a lot are just out for a damn good time. So disposable, it really doesn't matter. I've got what I want from this one. Now let's, move on to the next one. And that's men and women. It's the same thing. But, at the end of the day, I really feel that you can't really have a relationship until you spend quality time with someone. You've got to be able to give someone the time of day. If you sit down with someone and you instantly know that there's no connection here, there's no attraction, you may just have ended up finding one of the best friends that you'll ever have. But, from what I've heard, I've heard girls or clients of mine, they've actually gone on a date, sat down with a fellow, he's gone to go to the toilet, and guess what? He didn't come back. And like you said, Helly, that what the heck does that do to your self-esteem, your image, because you're constantly questioning, well, what the fuck is wrong with me? What is wrong with me? It's not what is wrong with them. It's, what is wrong with me? So I think it's important to, when you do find that person, if you're on the online dating space, I don't know, Helly, is it that hard to date or talk to one person at a time?
It's so terrible because I have girlfriends that are on the dating apps and they actually go on dates, whereas I refuse. And they date someone and it's exactly what you said. They just disappear. They ghost. No one closes things off properly anymore in the online space. So you're left wondering, is it me? Is something wrong with me? Am I not good enough? And it's so terrible. Now, talking about searching for the next best thing, what is the next best thing? What are they looking for?
Yeah. Well, I think at the end of the day, maybe people just want to be loved. They want acceptance. I don't know. That's the part, I guess, every individual is different. We're all looking for different things, in people. I am just so grateful that I sit here with this man that I am married to, and I'm so grateful that, you know, I don't have to put up with the bullshit that is out there these days. You know, I would not want to be a young person looking for their forever person. And you also mentioned, you know, how do you protect the relationship? Okay, well, here's the thing. If your needs are not being met, that is why there is temptation. Okay, in your relationship, if you are not meeting your partner's needs, if your partner's needs are not being met, that's the reason why people cheat. It's because something is missing. So the way you protect your relationship is open communication and knowing yourself, understanding that you want your partner to, you know, to be open, to be honest, know your partner's love language, make sure that your goals and your visions for your relationship actually align. You know, I mean, and the thing is, that sounds really simple, but in hindsight, really, it does take a lot of work. And, you know, I am absolutely secure in my relationship with Luke. We have never, in the 7 years we've been together, never gone through each other's phones. I have never asked him, give me your phone, I want to check your messages. Okay, we know that happens a lot. You know, if you feel loved and secure in your relationship, you should not have a need to go and air your grievances about your relationship with other people, because that's how a lot of affairs start. You know, they find someone who has a common denominator. They're both having problems with their relationship. That common denominator brings them closer together. You know, the other side to this is that Luke and I both have male and, you know, I have male friends. Does he feel threatened by any of them? Hell no. Does, you know, he has female friends.
The stacks of female friends.
You know, Luke has so many female friends, but the beautiful thing about Luke is that he's a really good connector. So he checks in with people all the time. I mean, he actually does it way better than me. And, you know, he can be talking to a female friend, and do I care? No, I don't, because he's my man. He's not going anywhere. He's just a very loving person who really values his friendships.
No, I was just messaging them to go for a date, but they said no.
You know, I am more secure in this relationship than I have ever been in my life.
So amazing. And I think that's what everyone aspires to get to in their relationship, to feel that sense of I've got their back and they've got my back, and I don't even have to question anything. The trust is there and it's solid, and there's no fear that, you know, the temptation out there can desire someone in or lure someone in, because I know that there is people out there that if you're in a relationship, they don't care. They will still try to get you, or they will, you know, I've met men before who haven't told me that they're in a relationship. And there's people on the online dating space that don't tell people that they're married or that they're in a relationship. And it's just like, it's so disheartening. You know, just to witness this thing. And I was working in a car dealership once, and I remember always looking at the staff, and everyone was married and everyone was having affairs. And I thought, what is this?
Who gets time for that?
I was working in a beauty salon in close to where Luke worked, where we first met. And people used to come into the beauty salon, married men, to ask for a sexy time massage. And it's just like, does your wife even know what you do? And I think all of these things have made me like so weary in life about like making sure that, and this is probably something I need to work on and work through, making sure that my partner won't do that to me, because that's all I've been exposed to in my 20s and upwards, which is really sad. I worked in the DJ industry. All I saw was cheating and affairs, you know, and then in the 20s and then in the 30s. So very interesting times we've got here. But guys, it's time for your first curveball. Are you ready to play?
You can give it to Luke.
Oh.
Luke.
All right, Helen. Okay, throw it to me.
Your first curveball is, what is your number one secret to a healthy relationship?
Secret? Yeah. Well, Actually, we were talking about this before, Carol.
Yeah, we were. I know what you're going to say.
And I didn't even know. I didn't even know this question because this is a curveball question. I know. What's my secret?
I just made it up.
So I believe it's about being playful because life can get really, really serious. Like behind the scenes, I'll share a few things that because of the workload that I put upon myself, I can get quite serious about my work. I'm very passionate about helping people and helping our family. So I can get a little bit too serious, but I'm also aware of like in between the serious work, there's got to be some playful banter. There's got to be that banter, and it could be just a one-liner. It could be a 5-minute thing, and we've mentioned this in our previous interview. I could go into Carol and just like, give me that longer kiss, you sexy bitch, or something just to break it, and what we call an NLP, a pattern interrupt, and just break it from the kind of work because it is intense. Carol's seen me in that space where it's just like, especially yes, when I was doing real estate study, like it was,
love it.
And it was really quite intense. I think Carol did a pattern interrupt to me when I was doing that. She wanted to take me away from doing the test on that real estate training, and it was like, get me out of here. It was just too full on. But getting back to being playful, it's really important to have a bit of fun. And I must say that I'm integrating more of that myself in my life. I'm playing music gigs again, which does actually help my day-to-day life and even relationships with myself and others, and of course with Carol. So I always say to people, it's like, if you find something, if you're a sports person, go do your sport. If you're a dancer, be a dancer. Whatever you choose to be, it's like, explore that for self, and the right partner will support you with that. And I still want to add as well from the previous question about protection. If you're really secure within yourself, you don't have to protect the relationship at all. I feel that's just my opinion. I don't think you have to, I've got to watch what's Carol up to, or not trusting myself that, I could talk to many female friends. I have no issue with.
What is it that you credit that to?
Experience.
Because I know certain people that do have that fear and that tight leash on their partner. So what is it, that you credit that to?
Okay. So 2 parts to it. Number 1 is that I've experienced that beforehand, like at a very, very intense level. Like, so I know what it feels like to be the person looking at you going, who are you talking to? Why are you talking to that person? And you've got to explain yourself. Now, let me tell you guys, if you are experiencing that right now to that intensity, leave the relationship. Don't waste your freaking time. Seriously, don't waste your time. You've got to be so strong within your being that, you're not doing the wrong thing. You're just communicating with both sexes, male or female, that you're just having a conversation, that you're having a friend relationship with someone. If you're the kind of person that does do that kind of thing and someone's watching over your shoulder, okay, well, you're not meant to be in that relationship because you're looking for someone who you think is better. So that's the reason why affairs happen, because as Carol said, their needs aren't met in certain areas. But if you're fulfilled within your relationship, that's not even a question. I don't have to explain myself to anyone. And I won't explain to Carol. I don't need to. I might say who the person is, but I won't go deeper saying, I've got to explain myself to the depth, because you know what? It takes away, your own dignity and your self-esteem if you allow that to happen. If you want to be a strong person, you've got to obviously acknowledge that person's behavior and then step up and go, you know what? I really feel that we're not going to take this relationship to the next level, because if you can't trust me now, we're not meant to be together because I'm a trustworthy person.
Yeah, that's the key, right? So what I'm hearing is secrets to healthy relationships are be playful, and the trust must be solid.
Absolutely. And the thing is that not everyone has that intention. Now, here's the other thing, and this is about very briefly about law of attraction, is that if you believe that you deserve a certain quality of person and you trust with every part of your being that you are rock solid in that and you want to attract that person, you will find that person. and it won't be on a dating site. Well, you know what? I'll retract that, because I know some people have met on dating sites and they're really happy together. So they can't all be bad, but I think the majority, that 95%, it is pretty tragic, but there are 5% happy stories and happily ever after. But you've got to, if you want to attract that kind of person that you really desire, there's got to be a mirror of you. You've got to do the self-work and you attract that person at the same time. Carol and I are totally different to what we were when we first met. We really are.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've both grown together, and you want to grow together anyway. You know, like you want to step into that space where you go, you know what, there's lots of love and trust there. Let's, you know, break through as individuals, but also break through as a power couple. Yeah, and people respect power couples because they're doing the work constantly and never ends.
Yeah, thank you for all of that insight. So that was a curveball turning into a question. That's Luke, guys. That's my friend Luke. Wow. I hope you enjoyed this episode. We have more coming next week, so stay tuned, hit subscribe, and that way you get the notification when our next episode is live. You won't want to miss it.